Have you heard the one where I was a health coach? Well, I'm basically a health coach now. I like to call it spiritual health coaching. But I guess this is really the story of how it all came to be. I was, of course, very infertile and had a lot of health problems, but that actually was not at all what brought me to this career choice. It wasn't until having Max, and as you may have seen the other videos, he was adopted, and he was actually, when we adopted him, he was a baby and he was addicted to methadone. So when a baby is addicted to methadone, like, you've got a lot of detoxing, I guess, but I mean, the body is really naturally detoxing. So my goal as a mother was to keep as many toxins out of him as possible. So that's when I started to do a lot of research. I, learned about food. I learned about nutrition. I made all his food like fresh, and I was like super nutrition for babies and just about medical stuff. I went and I talked to doctors about methadone and how to clear the system from different toxins. And so I started to learn. And as I started to learn, I started to get more and more interested in this field. And then, of course, I was a dance instructor, and they always like to call me like Dr. Corey, Miss Corey, Dr. Corey, because I had this love of anatomy. And while teaching, I would really be able to see people's bodies in almost like X-ray, like how the muscles are formed around the bone, how things are structurally working or not working. But as I was teaching dance, things kept coming up that this just wasn't structural. It would be like, Miss Corey, I'm going to be out. I'm getting my gallbladder removed. And I'm like, you're like 12. You're 12. Why are you getting your gallbladder removed? We had kids with depression. We had kids with anxiety, ADD, disorders in like eating disorders or cutting themselves, like things that broke me. And I was like, oh my gosh, these kids. And I wanted to help. I wanted to know everything I could so I could help them. So I went to IIN, which is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and that's a really great place to start. It was, a 2-year program, a little less, wasn't enough for me. Of course, I want to know it all. And so I went to the School of Applied Functional Medicine, and that was a little bit more about supplementation and how to help clients that are really having acute issues. So I graduated from there, and then I just kept learning and learning, and then I got board certified. And I, also worked at a wellness clinic, which was in New Jersey, and learned applied kinesiology, which is like muscle testing. I learned frequency-based medicines, alternative medicines, supplementation, how to apply supplementation to different ailments. And then I also learned basics on detoxing and terrain theory and just so much, and found it fascinating. I, incorporated that into my journey in my health, in my family's health, in my friends' health, and then also in my clients. But as I kept working on the body, I started to recognize that I was really body, mind, and emotion, and then spiritual. Like that was kind of it. Like the body was the top. So it was like root cause, root cause, root cause. And going through all the training, you realize that a lot of the things that the doctors may call root cause are really symptoms. So it's like, yeah, you have a leaky gut. Well, why do you have a leaky gut? I mean, there's other things causing that leaky gut. Oh, I have autoimmune. Okay, why do you have an autoimmune? So it ended up being that there's like root causes to the body, but then I was finding there was even deeper root causes to the root causes. And so all the emotional components and the spiritual components started to become more present to me. And that became my focus, and that became what I wanted to learn about. And so I started a class when I moved to Florida, and it was on intuition and learning your spiritual journey and things of that sort. And going through this, like, I've always been pretty intuitive and, body aware. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to hone my intuition. Well, it didn't go as exactly as I had planned it. Like, during this intuition course, like, I'm going to be honest with you, Jesus done right. He stalked me. He was like showing up here and he was showing up there. And like, even with like these intuition trainers, or like I would go and like get my cards read, or I would go and do like these spiritual things. And it ended up being like, oh, just so you know, Jesus is here. And I'm like, of course he is. Of course he is. He was there. And then I just started to feel this shift in me. And I started to pray for unbelief, like any stubbornness that was in me. And I actually worked with somebody, and I got to a spot, and she said, like, look, there's some stubbornness in you. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pretty stubborn. And she's like, ooh, let's see, is it about money? No. Is it about this family? This? And she's trying to figure out what the stubbornness is. And I'm like, I know what the stubbornness is. I know what it is. I have a stubbornness towards God. I have stubbornness towards Jesus. I have stubbornness towards all of it. I couldn't even say the word Jesus. It was like I had a visceral reaction. So I knew I was stubborn, and I knew it was a 40+ year stubbornness. And she straight up asked me, do you want to get rid of the stubbornness? And I was, of course, bawling my eyes out because, letting go of 40 some odd years of stubbornness towards God, it could be painful. It could be painful. So I did say, yeah, I am ready. I'm ready to let it go. And as soon as I did that, things started to fall away, and I started to see things differently. And I started to react to things differently, and started to see the intuition differently. And I started to now change the way I worked. And so now I have flipped it, and I come in at it with a spiritual level. So the relationship with our emotions and our Creator, that relationship is the key to healing, or at least accepting of our ailments, and trying to get in really, truly at the ground floor. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing, pardon the French. I'm going one step at a time. That's all I can do. But I know that where I'm going and the path that I am on now is a totally different one that I started on. And it's okay. And it's scary. But I can no longer look at the body and look at the superficially. It is deeper. And I'm really happy the way my journey has gone. And I'll just keep you updated. So one step at a time.